That's a
lot.
That's pretty brave.
Yeah.
I don't know where you guys like to stand.
Where do I probably be in the middle?
I wonder if we ought to, like, in the future, like, set that thing up back there. So
Well, that's why I was trying to angle it.
He's thinking
See,
of
like,
getting one that
the
like
glass and-
points like is in the ceiling. And shows the-
Right.
I am going to take back host controls at my laptop though, so I can mute people when they're loud for you guys.
Okay.
That's perfect.
Cool. Thank you.
I can't do the glasses and the mask. So
I feel your pain.
So,
Yeah.
is there no?
I don't know what it's plugged into.
It's plugged into like some kind of big receiver or something.
It's plugged into.
That box.
Yeah, whatever. It's automatic. I think.
Was in boot camp not get a binder? You guys both got a binder. I'll get you a binder. You're welcome.
Not working.
That's fun.
Crooked now. That's bad. That's so crooked. It needs like a wedge.
Let's just start.
Okay.
All right, looks like we got quite a few people on Zoom. Sorry about the technical difficulties here. Can everybody on Zoom kind of hear me?
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yeah, we got you.
Appreciate it. Get a better camera set up in this office. I feel like
We're straight.
maybe we need to get something like back in the back so you can see everybody sitting in the class, and it's not so, I don't know. But we can figure that out. We can figure that out later. But I appreciate everybody being here. Before we get started, let's go around the room and just say everybody's name. We're not gonna do that on Zoom because we can see everybody's name up there. But go ahead and what's your name? How many years real estate? And
My name is Jameson, new agent. I don't know what else.
0 years. 0 years.
0 years.
where do you live?
Where did I live previous?
Where do you live now?
In Raleigh.
In Raleigh? Okay,
Yes, sir.
cool. Good deal.
I'm Mark, 10 years in real estate.
Okay, great. And you live in Raleigh also? Okay.
My name's Andy. I've been about 4 or 5 months and live Raleigh over Brookhaven.
Cool. Good deal.
Hi, my name is Faye Shawley. I've been in real estate for about a month.
Okay. Awesome. Good.
I'm Julianne. This is my very first day. I'm signing right now. This is my
Oh,
very
yeah.
first interaction with real estate other than the exam the day before yesterday. So.
Okay. Well, hopefully I won't ruin it for you.
You're gonna be my first impression.
My name is Jonathan, about 3 months in.
Okay, cool. Good. And so everybody's either at this office or considering joining this office. Is that correct? Okay. Gotcha. That's great. We've got some other people that I think we've met. I've met a lot of you guys up here before, and I'm sure a lot of you have met Katie. My wife, Katie Womble's here too. She's really the brains, obviously, behind the entire operation and keeps me straight, keeps me out of prison, real estate prison, and regular prison also. So been some close calls, but I'm still here. So, but anyway, today we're going to talk about the listing process, okay? And some of that's going to be really, really organized conversation, which is probably going to come more from Katie, and then some of it's going to be just talking and kind of flying by the seat of your pants and like how to get deals done, right? So I mean, and I think the biggest issue right now that I see is getting a listing. Okay, the market is so tough right now, especially as being a new agent. And I don't want anybody to get discouraged, but you know, I've been in the business since 2001. Really probably 2003, 2004 full time. Okay, I got my license in 01. Okay, Katie's been helping us for how long, Katie?
Since 02.
Since 02. And then we got married in 02. Anyway, long story, but so this is the hardest market I have ever seen right now to get a listing and to get a buyer and get them under contract. Okay, so I've never seen it this tough. Now, that being said, if you do have a listing, it's gonna most likely sell. Okay, most likely it's gonna sell. So as a listing agent, if you are lucky enough to go on an appointment for a listing appointment, or if you're farming and you're hitting it hard and you're working your sphere and you get the opportunity to go on a listing appointment, you have to do things differently than other agents to differentiate yourself to have a chance of getting that listing. If they're interviewing 3 or 4 different people, right, we want to make sure that you have all the tools in your bag and that when you go in there, you're confident, like you know you're going to get that listing. And so those are some of the challenges, but those are some of the things that we'll kind of talk about today. So you already handed these out? Because everybody's got a copy of this.
Mhm.
Is there no way to put this on the screen? I don't guess, is there?
I'll ask Natasha if she can.
Okay. So
I'll let you get started.
we'll get started. So like I said, so this is great. We're talking about the listing process, but the hardest part is getting the appointment, right, to go on the listing. So that's really what, we'll talk about a little bit while she's out, is like, that's the thing that's really the most important is, okay, who do I know? Who's in my sphere? What are you farming neighborhoods? Like, what are your strategies going to be to try to get listings? Sitting around waiting for the phone to ring is not going to work, right? That doesn't work. I mean, there used to be real estate offices, you do phone duty and you sit at the front desk and the phone would ring and it might be a listing call, and that's pretty rare. And so obviously those days are gone, long gone. So what are some things that you can do to give yourself the best chance for success? And everybody's going to look a little bit different, right? Like social media, are you hitting social media hard? Are you spending money on social media? But really the most effective thing that I have found is who you know. Okay, if you don't know a lot of people, get to know more people. Okay, some people want to only rely on social media and sit behind their computer and do things that way, when in reality I know it's been difficult with COVID, and that's why the inventory is so low. Okay, but it's the face-to-face interaction which is really the most important. Okay, you can hear me, you can see my facial expressions, and that's what we need to do. So if we don't know a lot of people, okay, if we do know a lot of people, we need to be touching those people all the time. And then people like Katie can come up with really effective systems that help you touch those people all the time. And Command can help us with that. I'm not an expert at that. She can do that, and then I can talk to them if I need to. Okay. If we don't have a big sphere of people, you've got to go find your sphere. Okay, so you need to be taking your business cards, or if you don't have business cards now, electronic or whatever it is, going around to, go to strip malls, knock on do your best to get a card from them. So when you go into a business, introduce yourself, and some people are going to like, okay, this realtor's in here, tell me who she is or he is. Well, that's how you get to know people. Just say, hey, you don't have to buy something at every little store. You don't feel guilty like when you go into a store, like, oh, I gotta buy something here, and then they'll give me no. Just go in there, introduce yourself. If there's a cashier or the owner's there or manager, whoever it is, see if you can get their contact information, and just do that 20 or 30, 40 stores, right? And it doesn't sound very effective, but you'd be really surprised. I mean, I've gotten listings in Harris Teeter. I've gotten listings at Car Wash. I've gotten listings at Chevrolet place, you know, like waiting on the car, just walking around, talking to people in the offices and things like that. So it's really just like, you don't have to live every day like you're, you don't have to be an obnoxious car salesman type realtor. And I don't think I don't act like that. I just want to go talk to people, right? Just talk to them and get to know them and smile and give them your card, get a card from them, and then stay in touch. You know, they say, oh, it was great to meet you yesterday. You know, just let me know if anybody that you know, or if you ever need any help with real estate. That's all you got to do. Just keep it simple, come up with something good, you know, get their cell phone, text them, and then you can get it set up on a smart plan, which she's going to talk about, to where you're pinging these people all the time. So don't be scared to do it. Like, look at, you know, if you have you guys have a bunch of younger friends, or how old are your friends, average?
Too young to buy a home,
Too young, what is that?
like 20, 21.
2021. Okay, so that's a little bit of a challenge, right? So when you're young, okay, like you have to overcome that, also that fear of like, hey, I'm too young, everybody thinks I'm too young. So I got my license when I was 22, I guess. I just got out of the Marine Corps. I was in college. We were getting married. So there's a lot going on. We just bought a house. I mean, all sorts of stuff. So, but that was the hardest thing, was like, oh, I'm so young. And I was like, oh, you know, I told myself I was too young, right?
Yeah.
And so it's like, you tell yourself that, well, if you've got those limiting beliefs, then of course you're going to be too young. And I'm really talking to, you know, this side of the room, not that everybody else does look pretty young too, but he's got exceptionally young. Yeah, you're way, I can't even see you because my eyes are so bad. You're way in the back. I'm just kidding. But so those are limiting beliefs. You got to figure out a way to that was the first thing you thought about, right? My friends are too young to buy a house.
Yeah.
So you got to turn that around some way and figure out how you, as a young guy, like we've just hired a young guy. Okay, he's 20 years old.
He just turned 21.
He just turned 21 Saturday.
Big deal.
So he's the most motivated kid. And I say kid, I mean, he's a man, okay, but that I've ever known. I mean, I'm like, you know, you hear about the younger generation don't want to do anything, they're lazy, they're this and that. Well, this kid's busting his ass constantly, you know, and wanting to improve. I mean, he's only been with us, 2.5 months, but he's in the office every day, doing the stuff he's supposed to be doing, you know, and he gets frustrated like everybody else, right? You do this for 4 months, like you're doing, and you start to get frustrated.
Yeah. Okay,
that's not good. So you got to figure out a way to keep your mind sharp. I know we're getting off track, and that's what happens, but
I keep side-eyeing you.
so
Where were you? I don't know.
appointment is set. That's what we were talking about. What we're getting to is the hardest part is setting the appointment.
Yeah.
All right. So these you can read. Everybody can read.
Yeah.
Okay. So I don't need to go over these little things right here. Okay. But obviously, when you go to an appointment, you want to be over prepared. All right. Over prepared. You want all your tax records, even though we don't need printed stuff anymore, right? It's like outdated. Like people are like, oh, we don't want to kill trees and all this kind of stuff. Like depending on the age of your client, okay, which most of your client sellers are probably going to be, 35 plus generally, right? So they still don't care if you kill trees. Okay, so I would print everything out you possibly can. Like go to the appointment with a listing agreement. Okay, fill it out previously. Leave the price blank, leave everything blank that you need to. Okay, the questions you need to ask them. And old school, go through with a highlighter and highlight the stuff so you don't forget to ask them. But the goal of that appointment is you have that listing agreement in your file because you're going to get it signed before you leave. Like you don't want to be like, oh, I'll just send it to you via DocuSign, and they were ready to sign it right then, right? They were ready to sign it right then. By the time you leave, you get back to the office and get it sent to the DocuSign, which will take an hour, they're not going to sign it.
Well, they either change their mind or they met with another realtor right after.
That happens all the time. So you can't do that. You have to be 100% prepared, have to have aerials, have your deeds. I mean, to have too much information, you don't need to know every little detail about that, but it just helps you like completely be professional. So you have 2 separate folders. I always have 2 separate folders. and I have an old school clipboard. I know it looks stupid, okay? But it's like got a lot of dirt on it and grease and stuff like that. So it looks like, it's like, man, that guy's used that clipboard for a long time. You know, so he must know what he's got to do it. So I've got that with a folder, and I have all my information in one, which is my comps, tax records, any data, how much their taxes are, and then have a nice shiny folder, Keller Williams folder for them with our listing process.
I didn't bring copies.
You didn't bring our listing books. Oh my gosh. Anyway, we can email everybody in here copies of them, which are basically, we'll just make sure we get email addresses before everybody leaves, and for everybody up here too. But basically of like what our listing presentation book looks like. And it's something that's printed.
It's printed up like glossy, it's a glossy book, but it's also emailable. So we have it both versions. That way he can come with the listing packet and show them this nice shiny little presentation. But if you end up doing like a virtual showing or something like that, it's also something we can email.
Yeah, so we always email that. Like, so when I talk to you, if you're selling your house, like I talked to you on the phone, okay, right when I get off the phone with you, we're gonna schedule that appointment. I told you on the phone, I'm gonna send you my listing. So I send all that to you immediately, right? I don't have comps yet. And I don't like sending comps before I've been to the house. A lot of times, you know, if you've got like a neighborhood, cookie cutter neighborhood, say $300,000 house, and, you know, you're like, oh, well, it looks pretty decent from the outside, but then you get there, the freaking people are hoarders and nasty and everything else. You know, you don't want to be like, have already sent comps to these people. It's, oh, I think it's going to be around $300,000. Now, in this market, you might be able to get away with that, okay? But in a regular market, you would not be able to get away with that. So be prepared, obviously. And then, you know, the main thing is know that you have to mentally train yourself that you are going to get that listing before you get to the house. Okay. Like when you walk up there, like with your mask on, which makes it harder now, right? People can't see you and your smile and things like that. Like you have to be confident, and some of that confidence can scare people, some types of people, right? Some people feed off of it and love it. And so I have to be a little bit of like a chameleon, okay, right? And I think in real estate, we always have to do that. We have to know who we're talking to, and you have to figure it out pretty quickly. So if you're walking in and there's, you know, a lady and she's kind of going backwards, obviously, and you're a guy, I mean, you're like, okay, well, you don't want to overpower her. We need to take a step back, slow down, and we need to adapt to the situation that's presented us, okay? Versus, you know, some big jolly guy that's loud and obnoxious, whatever. Okay, you can be loud and obnoxious, but he's gonna like appreciate that. I think that's gonna be like a back and forth. So, Katie, why don't you talk a little bit? I've been talking enough.
So what did you got the listing paperwork signed, yeah, right? Is that where we left?
Yeah,
Sure.
I might touch base a little bit more on that as we
Okay.
go back, because I mean, it's not that easy, obviously.
No, I know. Okay, so hypothetically, you get the listing paperwork signed. So we have a team, so we work a little different versus an individual agent who would just be you doing everything. So we have what we call pass the baton. So basically, when Morgan gets back from his listing appointment, it's like, yes, I got it. He hands everything over to me and I take it from there. So then what I get to do is all the behind the scene fun stuff. So basically we kind of go into the pre-active and MLS. So if we have it signed, everything's great. What I start doing is we send out a nice email to the client, you know, to introduce the team. Here's your point of contact. This is what so-and-so's doing. I set them up on like I put them in my calendar to touch base once a week. So we do all check-ins once a week with every client. I stagger it through the week, so it's not like Monday morning is everybody gets touched. It just depends on what day they came in. Typically, I don't do check-ins on Fridays. But then after that, we send the email, we order photos, we order our appraiser to come do the measurements for us. We prefer not to measure ourselves. It's worth the money. And then usually after that, we just make sure everything's uploaded in DocuSign. We prep for MLS entry. Usually the listing agent, so like Morgan, he would do some of that MLS input information. There's a nice sheet, and actually I can send that sheet to you guys too. MLS provides, so that it has all the check boxes for all those drop downs in MLS. And it's so much easier just to fill on the sheet, and then he passes that to me as well. And then that's just getting it ready for MLS and listing. And then from there, once we actually get it uploaded in MLS, you know, we put all the photos, we upload all the documents, you enter the showing time. There's a lot of little like checkbox type things to get done. And then making sure you have all your documents to upload for compliance, because that's a big one. Otherwise, Art will be sending you those lovely rejection things in Command, which are not pretty because they're red and you're like, ah. But you have all your paperwork, you know, for compliance that you have to upload. I'm trying to think from there. It's like going active. We send a listing email to, like a listing is live email to our clients, just so that way they know the day it happens. We're like, here's what to expect, especially in this market, depending on the price point. We're like, plan for the next 2 days just to live in a hotel or something almost, just because depending on the price point, they're going to get bombarded with those showings. As far as marketing, we do landing pages through Command. We do flyers, which we haven't been doing as many of them because the houses have been selling so quickly. But usually we still do old school flyers that we put in the front yard for people. We do Facebook ads, Facebook campaigns through there. Trying to think. And then from there, I guess, after it's active and all that fun stuff, it goes into possible offers and contracts. Do you have any questions with like uploads or any of that?
I think we just kind of went really fast over that. But
I did probably.
Yeah, I mean, so I know several in here have had listings already.
Yeah.
Who in here has not ever had a listing? Okay. 1, 2. So 4. So you've had a listing?
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
I mean, there's so many little steps. I was kind of bruising over some of the major details with it.
So maybe what we can do is Katie has a listing worksheet also.
The MLS sheet?
Not the MLS sheet, but like a checklist, a listing checklist of what she does when I pass the baton from myself to her. Okay, so she has a baton. So anything that we can share with you, like our listing presentation, our listing checklist, anything like that, you know, it may not work exactly for you, but I think it'd be really helpful and give you some ideas about how that could be implemented, you know, to where that's one less thing on your plate. I mean, I think I'm pretty lucky, and I see Kyle up there. I see Jennifer Roberts. I see him like, hey guys. Anyway, I'm pretty lucky. Sorry, I'm not trying to block you here.
I'll move that side again.
But obviously, I'm able to work with just sellers. Okay. Now, if the market gets really, really tough, which I think it's getting a little tougher right now just because of the lack of inventory. Okay. So I think, you know, everybody's like, oh my gosh, real estate's great. You know, and we get these updates from the office, and the office is great, doing a good job. Okay. We're selling all sorts of real estate. But is there anything that pops out to anybody else when you're looking at these daily updates, like all these listings and sales and pendings? Is there anything that comes to mind when you read that email?
That email that Natasha sends out at the end of every day. What's something you've noticed on those emails?
Don't be scared. If you're wrong, it's okay. I'm wrong all the time.
I haven't read it.
No,
Okay.
I was like, they haven't even received it yet.
Okay. So go back on your email and you need to look. But so what it says to me is we had one listing go live yesterday in this office. Well, there was like 8 contingents, 5 pendings, you know, 4 closed, whatever it was. So we're replacing our inventory, one listing for all these other properties that have closed or going under contract. So our inventory is still going like this, and we're below 2,400 right now. And so what that means to us is we have got to get out there and figure out how to get some listings, because you can have all the agents in the world in this office or any other office, but if they have nothing to buy, to show buyers or to sell, no one's going to make any money, right? If there's not inventory. So we've got to have inventory. so that's the most important thing. I think the listing process, I think the documents that Katie emails you will be very helpful. And you may want to say, you know what, I don't want to spend the money and get a fancy looking magazine or something like that, but you may be able to pull some ideas off those that you can do a simple printed version or something like that, or just an electronic version.
And Canva, I don't know if you're interested or like familiar with Canva. Canva has amazing templates that you can create and then actually save them, publish them to the web. So it'd be a link, hyperlink that when you're sending it to somebody, it's a web link versus just a document, a PDF document. So we always send ours as a web link, not a PDF document.
So
Command has some great things too.
So what are some questions? I mean, let's make this a little bit interactive as opposed to me just talking all
Well, as
day.
they say, between finding an appointment, getting it listed and everything like that, then let's figure out before we start talking about once it goes under contract, which is then part of the listing process.
Yeah.
What are some questions you have up until the house is active, it's having showings and everything like that?
Well, I don't really have a question, but I have like a comment from
Yeah.
experience. When you're dealing with all these like documents, make sure your computer is very organized and you have all these things ready for compliance, because there's 3 folders in Commanders: listing, under contract, and closed. I didn't know there's under contract and closed.
Okay.
So I have no idea when I'll get paid, because I gotta go back and get copies of due diligence checks.
Yeah.
And you know, all sorts of things. So
Yeah.
just stay organized during the listing process.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, that's really
I keep our team straight.
That's really important. I mean, because I'm constantly forgetting to get copies of checks and forgetting losing pre-qual letters. And I mean, that's good. But yeah, I mean, you have to figure out a system that works for you. So thank you for that. And hey guys, everybody that's on Zoom, if you could somehow.
Well, I think Natasha has the chat off that it just goes to the host.
Let's see if y'all can put your email addresses in. That way we can send everybody up there all the documents we're talking about as well.
Okay, here.
I am writing down everybody's email that they put in the chat for you guys.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Okay, good. Because I was going to say, I don't see anything.
It's because I reclaimed the host on my computer.
Okay, no worries. Thank you.
No problem.
And if anybody on Zoom, if you guys have any questions, just let me know, or how we do something.
Let me know, not you.
What's that?
Let me know.
Okay. No, I'm talking about right now. If you want
Oh.
to talk about anything, just, unmute yourself and let us know if you have a question. But anybody else have any questions while we take we're not taking a break, I guess, but we just got to figure out something to talk about.
We'll just stop, because then the next thing is like under contract to close with the
Okay.
listing. So anything as far as pre-listing, going active, anything like that. Do you guys have any questions, concerns?
Don't you guys want to know how to get listed?
I'll ask something.
Yes, go ahead, Kyle.
So whenever, once you get the listing information signed or listing agreement signed, how soon will you start scheduling out for all the vendors and like photography and measuring and stuff like that? Like, do you wait till you go yeah.
I was like, that's a me question. So I'll face this way, so it looks like I'm actually looking at time. So basically, as soon as Morgan gives me the listing paperwork, I contact the seller immediately to find out their schedule. Knowing that we typically put a marketing date in there that's about a week out from the day they signed it. So we're trying to get this as active as quickly as we can. Sometimes they're like, well, I need to paint and do this and that. So then we know we're 3 weeks out. I go ahead though and I schedule everything prior to that, just so it's on the calendar. Because the other thing is, well, right now, photographers and measurers probably aren't too behind because of the lack of inventory. But typically, I mean, sometimes you'll have a photographer who will be 2 weeks out already anyways. So you want to contact them as soon as possible once you have a signed listing agreement. And then that way too, you can notify the seller, hey, just so you know, we have on the calendar for photos on X day at X time, and we have measuring on X day, X time. That way too, they know you didn't just take that listing paperwork and now you're just waiting, type thing. They know you're actively working on it and doing everything like that. So that was a good question.
Something else that what Katie's saying is really important, and something that I'm really big on, and Kyle's probably heard me say this before, but is having control of the deal. Okay, like control is like so important. And so what I mean by that is, like, when you go and say I went to Heritage or Wake Forest and I've just signed this listing agreement. Okay, obviously I'm telling that seller ahead of time. It's really noisy back there. Oh gosh. Okay. Anyway, so everything Katie just told the seller, or Katie's not going to just randomly call the seller and be like, hey, when's the measuring taking place, and when do you want to do the photos? Like, I'm already going to give the seller the update. Hey, Katie will be calling you to schedule this, right? So what I mean by getting control is time is never a good thing in real estate. So by the time you get that signed, the time you get to the office, hand it off or do the work yourself, and call to schedule the photographer and the measuring, a lot of times sellers will change their mind and they'll call you. Like, oh, yeah, we just can't do this. It's not going to work out. So you lose that listing, right? I mean, you still have the paperwork signed, but I mean, if they change their mind within the first couple hours, so you want to actively in the first couple hours really start getting that ball in movement. So once the ball is rolling a lot, people in a lot of ways will be like, okay, we can't do that to them. The process is too far along. Okay, and so that has happened a lot of times to us, like where I'll get people to sign things and they're ready to go. And then by the time, if a day goes by, they'll have thought about it. Well, maybe where are we going to go? And especially in this market, where are we going to go? So I'm not saying don't do what's right for the client. I'm saying, but if you don't, you're going to starve. You gotta get a listing, right? You gotta get the listings. And if they want to sell, we want to get the ball rolling as agents to have those pictures ready, to have the appraiser go out there. Go ahead and go out there and get all your details and all your measurements, so they see the amount of time that you and your team, or just you, are investing in this deal. Because I mean, time, people see that and they're going to have a much harder time saying, no, we're not going to do this anymore. Okay, so that's just something I'm calling about. Doesn't happen all the time, but it can happen. So, any questions about that? Nothing. Okay.
Zoom, any questions on Zoom?
I have a question. Oh,
Yeah.
Jennifer, were you going to talk?
No, you go ahead.
Okay, so we have a listing appointment tomorrow night. Friday night. And our potential clients are not really wanting to sell until June 1st. So with that being said, would you recommend that we go ahead and of course try to get them to sign and then just do a delayed marketing?
Yeah, what price range is it?
About 250, 270.
Where are they moving?
They're going to be moving to Fayetteville. And so they want us to help them on that end too.
They probably have a time.
Okay, so are they is it a military thing where they have to be there at a certain time, or?
No, they're rather flexible.
Okay. Well, I mean, what I try to do is I would still bring the paperwork. I mean, I know that sounds like you're killing a tree, right? Okay, but I'm telling you, people change their minds so quickly. Okay, a lot of times, and this market is so strong. I would do everything in my power to get them to sign that listing agreement. I mean, other than being obnoxious and like being, I don't know whether you don't know the right word. Just don't be too pushy. Yeah, don't be the car salesman. Yeah, but they need to understand the importance of selling now. The inventory is so drastically low, and you need to show them the inventory. Last year at this time, there was about 8,500 homes on the market. Now there's less than 2,400.
There's less than 20.
Is there less than 21 now? Yeah, I haven't looked at it in 4 or 5 days. Okay, so it's going down that quick. Okay, so what that means is they can pretty much name their price for their home and have a good chance of getting cash offers, which most people that write a cash offer don't care about price. Okay, they're going to pay if it doesn't. It's because if it's a $250,000 house and it goes under contract for $300,000, well, it's not going to appraise. Okay, most likely. So you start to see some of the appraisals really catch up, which is good for our overall market. But they need to understand. So last year it was down 8,500 homes. A healthy market's like 12 to 13,000 homes. Okay, so we're way low, and so that benefits them in big time and as a seller, but as a buyer in Fayetteville, I'm sure the Fayetteville market is probably a little more normal than our market, because you have guys that are in the military, they're PCSing, they're getting in, getting out. They always have to buy and sell. So those markets around like Jacksonville, North Carolina, Camp Lejeune, or in Goldsboro, the Seymour Johnson Air Force Base or Fort Bragg, those markets are a little bit more, honestly, healthy than our markets, because you have constantly people buying and selling. Okay, so that's something that I would really reiterate. So they're probably gonna have more choices where they're buying than they do in the Raleigh market. So does that make sense?
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
And then Jennifer has a question.
Go ahead, Jennifer.
I was just kind of coaching the buyer is what I was trying to figure out how to ask that question. Because when I go into not the buyer, the seller, right. When I go into the listing appointment, and they're indecisive right now, but we're going ahead and signing the paperwork and setting a marketing date. And how do you coach them through that? I mean, do you say, okay, especially like with staging and pre-packing, and
right,
you just say, do you have a stager who's going to come out? The stager's going to come out, or do you say, Katie's going to call you with the pictures? Like, is that just how you coach them?
Yeah, I mean, I just try to make them feel as comfortable as they possibly can. If it's someone that's unsure, okay, is that, hey, look, we're gonna handle, you sit back, you basically let us take control of this deal. Katie is gonna call you, I'm gonna handle everything on this side, Katie's gonna handle this. We work as a team. These people that are coming to measure, that come to do photos, if there's a drones, they're part of the team. Everybody's part of the team. If they have questions for attorneys, if they have questions for lenders or other real estate, everybody is still part of our team. So it's really just, there has to be a level of trust. I mean, that's the thing. There has to be a level of trust with that. And that can obviously take a while to build with people. But the other, like going back to time, I hate time in real estate. I know that sounds weird that I keep going back to that, but these closings with like a 90-day closing or a 4-month closing, which you don't see a lot of right now, obviously, but there's always so much time for something to happen, right? For somebody to change their mind, for somebody to find another property, for somebody to get divorced, for somebody to have a car accident. I mean, so time, whether it be listings or with buyers, is not on our side as realtors. Okay, or with the seller, you have a listing right now that you're talking, Brian and Lisa are talking about getting right now. Well, we know what the market is like right now. We don't know what the market is going to be like in June. Okay, so Jennifer, if you have that listing signed and they don't want to list it for 6 weeks or 7 weeks, well, I'm not trying to be pessimistic, but there's number of things that could happen between now and 7 or 8 weeks. And I think, for those of us that remember September 11th, that's one thing you can point to and say, okay, way back then, like, there was no problems, everything was great. And then you get wham, you get hit by something big, right? And the real estate market really reacted negatively to that. It's September 11th for I feel like about 8 or 9 months. I mean, I was super, super new in the business, so but it was tough. And that seems a long way removed to other people, okay? But so just remember, time is not on your side, and so I would try to do everything in my power to get that listing agreement signed, get the marketing date as soon as possible. Even if you have to extend the marketing date, that's fine. I don't care. You know, if we do the marketing date for 3 days down the road, if that seller is super pumped up and they want to do that in 3 days, then we're going to do everything in our power to try to get listed by 3 days, which probably won't happen. Okay, but we can extend that if we need to. So anybody else have questions about that on Zoom or anywhere else? And then, oh, one thing, Jennifer, asked about stagers and stuff like that. I mean, right now, I'm not recommending anybody use a stager. Okay. I mean, unless you're in some kind of very small competitive market, which I'm trying to even think what that would be in our area right now, because it may be a luxury listing, but maybe you're doing that just to make you look good at that point. Because it's really not going to matter. I mean, I showed a guy, 2 weeks ago, million plus properties, and it used to be if you had $1 million, you could pretty much buy whatever you wanted, right? Well, he's like 1.3 to 1.7. Okay, we went and looked at, and I don't normally work with buyers, but this is someone who's a direct referral, and so we went and looked at North Raleigh. I could only show him 5 houses. There was only 5 houses in like 1.3 to 1.7 that we could look at, and none of them were really like super nice.
I think all of them
You
were
know,
under contract.
and then
now.
Well, and then 3 or 4 of them went under contract within like 3 or 4 days. So I mean, it's just, that's how crazy the inventory is. I don't think stagers, I don't think you need one right now. No, in a normal market, yeah, I think that's something, and we still have that in our listing presentation. You know, that's part of it that we recommend. If the need is there, that we'll recommend that they work with our stager. Okay, so then we pull those in, but stagers are probably really hurting right now. You got to think about that industry. They're probably dead in the water because they don't. Yeah, it's tough. Are you a stager?
No, I'm.
Okay, go ahead.
Just this is the most general and probably naive question, but again, I'm fresh into this. What is the reason that the market is hurting so much for listings now? Is it COVID and that environment, or what's contributing to that?
I think there's a perfect storm that's kind of happened. Okay, I think COVID is probably the biggest driver. Okay, I think we did not have a spring market last year. Okay, so when COVID hit in March, April, May, which is typically your busiest, the most listings coming on the market, it just didn't exist. There was no new listings were coming on the market. So the inventory, but the demand was still there from buyers, right?
That's interesting, because you'd think they have to be leaving their houses and those houses,
right,
that maybe from other markets.
Well, maybe they were already under, so like those, they had started work on those January, February, March, right? And then COVID hits, and so then these people still need to buy. And Raleigh is a very, very, very sought after area. Us, Austin, Texas, it's always.
We had a lot of people coming
right
in.
there. So and then now, what I see now is the mass exodus from New York, New Jersey, Boston, Pennsylvania, California. We're working for people from all those places and I don't think it has anything to do with politics or anything like that. They just have been the taxes, the overtaxation, just the constant, like they can't go out to lunch. They have not done anything for a year, in New York, I've got working with so many people from New York. They're just, but then now they can't find it. They come down here. You got people, 500 to 600. We got several people, the million plus people. And there's not much to show them. And so that's the problem, guys. But I don't want you to be like, oh, I can't do anything. Morgan can't do it, so I can't do it. No, that's the exact opposite attitude we need to have. Is we need to go out there and figure out how to get that inventory, and don't let Zillow get it, and don't let these other people get it. They're not gonna communicate with people like we do.
So just a follow-up question to that again about the market. Are you seeing a lot more new construction and builders right now? How's that?
Yeah, the new construction is pretty much the only thing that's keeping all of us really afloat. So that under 2,100 or 2,400, whatever number we're talking about, that includes new construction, right? So some of those starts are not included in that because that's active listings. So there's homes that are started that are new construction that are not included in that number, but they're selling immediately. I mean, they're just selling so fast because we still have more demand. I think some of the demand may start to, it's not, the inventory is so low, okay, so it's not going to wane anytime soon. But the more, if we do have a spring market this year, which I'm hoping some people list their houses. See, the other thing is now, if you work for a big company in RTP, or you work for SAS or whatever, you don't have to, and you're moving here from wherever you're moving, they're letting you work from home now. So you don't need to move. Like, well, I'll just stay home. You know, you don't have to move to be close to work. Most of these big companies are letting people work from home.
Yeah.
So
then could you talk a little bit about getting listings on new construction? Just again, fresh, don't know anything about it. So do you usually make the relationship with the builder, with the?
Yeah. I mean, obviously that's one thing that we really focus on is relationships with builders, developers. You know, if you can find 3 or 4 lots here or there right now, or maybe there's a piece of land on the side of the road in the county that you can build 2 houses on. Okay. Well, the way you need to look at that, like I used to look at it like, oh, I'll just sell this piece of land and I'll make $2,500 off selling the land. Well, you need to look at it as, oh, we can divide that in 2, get our soil scientist out there, do our perk test on these 2 lots. We got 2. County's gonna let us divide it, work with the surveyor to do that. Okay, go partner with a builder. Hey, I'm bringing you this deal, builder. You build the houses, I'm selling. Okay, so that's the way to start, and that is with small deals. And there's plenty of builders out there right now that if you called and said, hey, I've got 2 lots, I'll meet you out there. They will meet you out there right now. So that's something that we need to be more focused on as agents. I think a lot of agents just have this mentality like, oh, I'm going to work Northridge. Oh, I'm going to work Heritage. I'm going to work Wakefield. I'm an inside development agent. Well, we need to be thinking broader than that. Like, hey, I'll sell a single wide trailer in Henderson. I don't care. Like I do it all the time, right? So I'll go to Sanford, I'll go wherever, because these opportunities pop up that you don't think. You might sell that single wide trailer for somebody out there, and then if something else pops up, well, he's got a piece of land down the road in Zebulon or something like that. Okay, so where new construction comes into play. And the money in this business is in new construction. I think that's where the real money is. I mean, you look at Jim Allen, you look at people like that. And Kyle's heard me say this 100 times, I'm sure, so he's probably but you know, so that's where the money is in this business. But it's breaking into it that's the hard part. But once you get this group of builders that trust you, once you have 3 or 4 or 5 builders that trust you and they're leaning on you, they just want to build houses. Builders really, for my experience, the local guys, I'm not talking like these huge mega builders, right? Tract builders, I'm talking about your local guys. They just want someone to find them some land so they can focus on building a house. That's what they want. So they're really not as experienced as you would think. A lot of the local builders, custom builders, as you would think in real estate. Like they're really not. And you would think, oh, this guy's been playing, building houses, selling houses. They're really not well versed in finding a lot of things. And that's a great question. And that if I was a new agent right now and there's time, and especially if you have the means to really set up a good business plan, that's one thing that I would definitely work on.
I'm just curious how else you've adapted your strategy with this market.
How else I've adapted it? Well, I think we're constantly adapting right now, and I think that's tough. I mean, I'll tell you, and this is embarrassing. I mean, I have 1 listing right now. You know, I mean, typically
the one that Keller Williams has, though.
right. And I mean, to me, like we used to carry 15, 20 listings all the time. Okay, but the market is it's tough, and so we're still trying to figure out how to adapt. And so we get them, we have a bunch of listings under contract, but the problem is we have buyer's agents. Okay, Kyle's listening to me. So Kyle, I'll keep going back to Kyle worked with me for a long time. He's a great guy. So, but the problem is when they sell so quick, your buyer agents don't have a chance to get leads on them. Does that make sense? So the whole idea with the team is you have a listing, all right? You have this listing, it's over here, $250,000. Well, you want to do it coming soon and things like that, because you want to get buyer leads on it as well. So if you work for me, right, then you get 5 or 6, 7 people that you can call and potentially go show that house. Now we still do that through Facebook and things like that. We get leads, and obviously some of those leads are really, really cold, right? And they cuss you out and hang up on you. And then some of them, the phone numbers are bad or whatever. But you can pull. I mean, what we found is maybe like 2 to 3% potentially that you can start working with and having conversations with. And if you do that for 3, 4, 5, 6 months, then it will turn into something. It will, and it's frustrating, but that's how you build it. It starts off with a little snowball, and it grows and grows and grows. And you have to think about this business in that way.
And then we are really heavy in our database. So like we are constantly reaching out to our database, doing like giveaway things, but constantly like in our database. So all our clients are on some sort of drip campaign or smart plan with command, to where even if it's just a quarterly call, to where we're calling past clients every quarter. Like right now we have a big March Madness giveaway. We're giving away an Apple Watch, a massage gun thing, and something else.
A speaker.
A big Bose speaker. And we're doing that for March Madness. So we have email campaign going out to past clients. We're Facebooking it. We're Instagramming it. We're all this stuff. Try and build up some excitement. In the and the goal is that come when it's time to register for these prizes, we're going to collect new phone numbers, new email addresses, new names for our database, so then we can start working those people. So we're always very heavy in our database and trying to keep that up to date. And then same with like any leads that do come off of listings, they're on smart plans too. So everyone's on some sort of smart plan so that everybody in that database is constantly getting touched somehow. And I mean, and not in an obnoxious way. Like we're not calling and texting and emailing every other day to every person. It's very strategically planned, so that way we don't lose contact with them. Because most studies show too is like Facebook lead is usually about a 9-month cultivating before they might do something. Long time. And if you don't have a smart plan in place, you're going to forget about it.
You give up at 30 days.
Well, you give up at 7.
Or whatever.
7 days, because you're trying to call and text and get a hold of them, and then they're not returning. You're just like, they're done. Yet if you get them on a smart plan to where you're then being reminded to follow up with them occasionally, come 9 months, they're gonna be like, geez, Andy, I've seen your face like on this email every month. So hey, yeah, I want to buy a house now. And you're like, yes, because it works. And I think that's what agents will come to find out too, is that when they do use the smart plans, in Command or whichever CRM you want to use, they work. Like if you just do them and follow through with them and stuff. So, but yeah, we've always been very heavy on our database. We're also sending out lottery tickets for St. Patrick's Day to like the top 50 in our database.
And the only issue with that I see is if you don't have any money, it's hard to go buy the stuff, right? So that's why what we did is we partnered with our closing attorney, with our lender, and with our home inspector. Okay, so we didn't buy any of the process, right? So, and if you don't work with them, they're gonna be like, okay, well, this guy's never done a deal with me. So that's tough, but that's why I do think it's important, that you go, like, if you haven't done many deals, okay, you go meet these people, walk in their office, and I know it's hard, but like, if you say, hey, Morgan, what's a good attorney I can get to that? I'll give you 2 or 3. You go introduce yourself and say, hey, I'm new to the business. I'm really excited about the opportunity. And any deals that I have, would you help me work those first deals? And they're gonna say, yeah, that's great. And they're gonna really appreciate you doing that. Because how many other agents have done that? Probably 0. Okay. And the same thing goes with lenders. Same things goes with insurance guys. Same things goes with home inspectors. Is agents don't do the things I think that we all need to be doing, but we get so busy in life and busy with Facebook and the computer. Well, we need to go talk to people. Okay, we need to go talk to attorneys, talk to the home inspectors. Get to know people. Roofers, carpenters, septic people, plumbers, electricians. All these people are so vital in the real estate industry. I could keep going on and on and on and keep naming people. And so you need to make a list of the surveyors, you make a list of all these people, and you need to get to know them. Okay. And I don't mean you have to take them on lunch once a week. That's obviously not feasible, right? But you need to get to know them, get in front of them, and then that's how you're going to get business. Because other real estate agents don't do that. People don't do that. And that's what we try to do, is do things differently than other agents.
Well, in real estate, it's a customer service industry. So you became a realtor because one, you probably like looking at houses, and then two, because you like people, you like to talk to people, work with people. I joke saying I like to be an admin because I don't like to talk to people all day long. But I just, I like checklists and to-dos and stuff. At the same time, I'm not afraid to talk to people, But I think being in the customer service industry, that's what you have to do. You have to meet people, talk to people, introduce yourself to people, constantly. And then, it just helps you build your relationships.
And you're saying that will be good for business also in terms of they might even bring you referrals?
We rarely, it's tough. Because you got to think, a closing attorney, he probably knows how many agents, right? But if a deal suits you and he or she, the attorney, sees that like, and if you just came to see them, you're fresh in their mind, right? The other person that's gonna be fresh in their mind is the one that sends them 80 deals a year. Okay. So you have to learn to differentiate yourself from that agent that's doing 80 deals a year with that attorney, which is tough.
And our closing attorney has referred business to us.
Our insurance guys.
Occasionally, yes, I bring them cookies. I want those referrals. We're like, but we also know he's probably giving referrals to a few other, realtors as well, and that's perfectly fine.
Yeah. So, I think those are just. I think that we lose focus. Can we say the market's so good? How many people in here thinks the market is so good? Right, you do. Why do you think it's so good?
It was a great time to be a seller, and the interest rates, it's hard, but it's a great time to be a buyer.
Yeah. Sure. That's good. So that's a great answer, and I think you're right, 100%. But I do think we got to focus on the inventory. So what's great to Morgan Womble, or what's great to Dory Clark, or what's great to Ruby Henderson, and what's great to 220 agents, Mark Jackson, that is all, you have to put in perspective, right? So to some of us in here, it may not be that great, because we got to figure out different ways to get listings and to get buyers. And then we get a buyer, we got to find a way to find the listing. It's so tough. So, but I think, if anybody wants to ever talk outside this, just let me know. I'd be happy to meet with any of you.
We're not done.
Katie would be happy to meet with you.
We're not done.
I'm pretty much done.
We're not. We didn't talk about when you get it under contract.
All right, you do that. You do that. It's fun.
Okay, so back to the regular schedule. Will, did you have another question?
A little bit like what you're saying about going to network and meet closing attorneys and insurance agents, like, is there not like a hard script, but if that's something I'm not used to doing and I'm kind of.
So like, how would the conversation go?
How would the conversation?
How, like, Morgan, if you were going to meet a new closing attorney, you're just into real estate or maybe been in real estate for 2 years, how would you introduce yourself?
I think that I would make a list of who I need to meet. So I'd make it systematic. You're probably much more systematic than I am. Okay. But you got 5 people you're going to go meet today. All right. Or in your 2-hour window of time block that you have. Okay. Then you're going to walk in and you may not meet the closing attorney, right? Because he's always going to be busy. Right. And if you call and he's like, some weird, freaking KW agent's going to come stop by and see you, he's gonna be hiding in his office somewhere, right? Because he doesn't want to talk to anybody, because he's busy, right? So that's the reality, right? So I think you just have to walk in, you meet whoever's at the front desk, like, hey, I'm such and such, and typically in an attorney's office, there's people walking around, right? And you just introduce yourself. Hey, I'm at the Keller Williams Raleigh office. I look forward to potentially getting to know your law firm and seeing how you can help my buyers and sellers. If you guys need anything from me, just give them a business card, get their business card. Then you have to constantly follow it up. Not constantly, but you have to follow up and try to get the lead attorney's email address, get the paralegal's email address.
Paralegal is going to be your best friend.
I mean, they're the ones that do most of the work anyway, obviously. The attorneys and they step in if something big time's a problem, but the paralegal and the closing managers and all these people at these attorneys' offices. So, I mean, direct script, I can't really give you a direct script, but I think it's simple. I think you just introduce yourself and it's your name, and, I'm looking to expand my business, and we understand that you're an attorney,
Maybe been referred by a certain person. So like, for instance, if you went to the one we use, you could say, Morgan Womble recommended you,
right,
or whoever you get the recommendation from, because in that way too, they'll be like, oh, that was nice.
And you bring them business. I mean, attorneys are like, they like real estate agents, closing attorneys, okay? Because you're feeding them. I mean, like every time you bring a deal, that's like, they're $900 or whatever they're getting in closing, okay? Plus if they do the seller docs for the seller, they're not making a ton of money, but they're doing a bunch of them a day, right? If they're a good attorney. So they love real estate agents. Absolutely. And they'll do anything. If you bring a business, they will support you as much as they can. And that goes for any contractors, in my opinion. The construction industry is a little bit different because those guys just operate differently, right? But I think it's good to have a list of contractors. It's where when your seller, if you are walking through that listing appointment, like, oh, I've got a leaky roof, or I've got this and that, you can say, okay, yeah, I can handle that for you. Don't worry about it. Well, not meaning that you're going to pay for it, but hey, I'll get somebody over here in the next couple of days, and we'll look at getting that, get a quote for you and get that taken care of, because we need to get that fixed prior to listing your house. And we don't want to have to put it on the property disclosure or whatever it is. Okay, as long as it's legit and we're doing the right ethical thing. So, that's it. Yeah.
Okay. So Jessica had said she wanted us to go kind of from the appointment to closing. So now I'm going to kind of kick in about like, okay, your property went live, it went under and now it's under contract. Like kind of what some of the next steps would be. And I very kind of loosely put them here. There's again a lot of steps, type things. So basically, once everything's under contract, you're going to relay it to the other agent. Okay, we have signed contract. Here we go, and then you're going to kind of start that process. We typically put our properties under contract in MLS once we have that due diligence check in hand. We've had a few times where the due diligence check has not shown up. We've changed to the MLS, and then all of a sudden they say, oh, we found a different house. We don't want that one anymore. And the worst thing to have to do is switch from contingent back to active in MLS. So we've just made that a standard in our practice that nothing gets changed until that money is in hand, which if you read the contract itself, that money is due with the contract anyways. But once you get burned a time or two, you kind of change some ways you do stuff. And then for us, we have, and I can send you this checklist too, like my detailed checklist. But we run through the checklist. Again, we have a closing coordinator, which I used to do it, now we have someone else. And she takes contract to close. So whenever we get to that next step, it's an introduction to a new person on our team, knowing that they can always come back to Morgan or myself. And from there, she runs through the checklist. The checklist will include, marking it contingent in MLS, making sure all the documents are provided, submitting for compliance, relaying all the information to the seller, copy of the contract, so they have that contract, letting them know how the process goes, letting them know you have the due diligence check that you need to deliver to them, that they need to sign for, You're also reaching out to the buyer's lender with an introduction. Hey, I'll be your main point of contact. Like, because us with having admin, we try to defer it away from Morgan. So like with the lender, you know, hey, I'm your main point of contact. Please let me know if you ever have any questions or need anything, you know, for this buyer's loan. And usually they reply back, great, thanks. You're also reaching out to the closing attorney that's going to be closing it. We personally still have our preferred attorney prepared our seller docs. Because if you remember, the closing attorney technically represents the buyer, not the seller. But that's just the personal preference for us. And then we're reaching out to the buyer agent, kind of, you know, letting them know too, hey, this person's going to be your main point of contact. You know, if you have any questions between now and then, try to direct them to us, not to Morgan. It's a lot of the reminding them who to contact during the deal. Trying to think, we do Facebook posts, of course. Yay, listing under contract. You do seller information sheets. The biggest thing I think will be is when you have the due diligence repair request come in. I'm licensed, so I can handle all the negotiations and stuff. If you have an unlicensed admin, they cannot handle those negotiations for you. So basically what happens is like when the buyer agent submits the inspection report and says, this is what we want done, I schedule a time. I send that report to our seller, but then I schedule a time to talk through it with them. That way we can go over every item, and if they have questions or anything like that, you know, we can kind of go through it. I find it better to talk to them after they've looked at it for a few hours or a day even. That way I'm not sending it to them and they haven't even read it yet. You still get it though sometimes when you call them and they're like, oh no, I just haven't even had a chance to look at it. Let's go line by line. And then for me, I can negotiate that with them to where they say, yes, we're going to fix everything. Or if they say, no, we only want to fix 1, 2, and 3, then I have to go back to that buyer agent and say, we're only fixing 1, 2, and 3, you know, and you kind of go back and forth, just like when you were kind of negotiating the original contract with a price and all that fun stuff. And then I'm trying to think, once you get that agreed upon, I guess you kind of submit it, but you go.
Something with inspections that's really important. It's Katie's doing a great job, but we don't want to it's so tough, okay, because you have to step back and think, what do I want to accomplish with this deal? So like your buyer, especially in this market, really wants to buy, okay? You want the house to close so you can, or the seller wants to sell, okay? So depending on what side of the transaction you're on, you know, we need to set an expectation up front that, you know, in a buyer, the buyer is not going to have a whole lot of leg to stand on asking for things in this kind of market. Okay, so if he bought a $250,000, $300,000 house, he probably put down $5,000 due diligence in this market, or maybe $7,500 due diligence, or maybe the most 3 or something like that. Okay, or the least 3. So as a seller or as a seller agent, I'm gonna say, hey, look, due diligence is so important in this market, right? So if there's very few homes on the market, if a buyer brings you something with high due diligence money, then they've got skin in the game. They've got a bunch of skin in the game on day one, unless the seller didn't disclose some material fact, which it gets very complicated. So, you know, when the buyer comes to ask me, like, hey, we want everything fixed on the inspection report, and I'm the listing agent, I'm gonna go to the seller, like, hey, seller, what do you think? And the seller might not even look at it like, no, I'm not fixing that. Like, okay, makes perfect sense to me. Okay. Or as a listing agent, I might be like, hey, well, why don't we do this? Why don't we fix, you know, 1, 2, and 3, just like it is will be nice, you know what I mean? But just to give like an olive range to somebody, like, you know, just to say, you know, we'll work with you here, but you know, you listed 150 items on here you want us to fix, and you've got $7,500 due diligence in the game. We're pretty sure you're not going to walk away from that $7,500. And if you do, it's okay, because we'll sell it for 5% more than we did 3 weeks ago, and we'll get another $7,500. So we just made $7,500. So I've had sellers do that we have one guy write an offer, 10,000, and I think Kyle even represented this guy.
Medford.
Bedford, and like and I felt horrible for Kyle, but it's like the dude wrote $10,000 due diligence check, sight unseen. And I was like, man, that's dangerous. But if he wants to do it, we'll do it. Seller signed it. Okay.
Due diligence check.
We got the due diligence check. He called after that, said, yeah, I'm terminating.
Kyle went and showed him the house like 2 days after the contract was done, and the guy just changed.
The guy's like, no, I'm not gonna buy it. And Kyle's like, well, you know, you're gonna lose your due diligence money. And the guy's like, yeah, it's okay. So he just walked away for $10,000. So my seller's like, man, can I just do this like once a month? You know, just do this like once a month and you make 10 grand a month, you know, just, hey, y'all keep terminating, we'll keep selling, you know? So anyway, that'd be a new scheme we need to come up with somehow, right? I'm sure we did up in real estate channel somehow with that one. But, so anyway, back to inspections, you know, I think we have to understand what market we're in to know how to negotiate the inspections.
Right.
As a buyer agent, and we're talking about listing, as a buyer agent, you need to set an expectation to your buyer in this market before they even write a contract, before you even make offer, like, look, you know, we need to walk through the house, make sure that there's nothing that we're terrified of. You're not a general contractor, you're not a termite inspector, you're not an electrician, you're not a structural engineer. You can't be responsible for everything that's unseen, right? But you have general knowledge of, okay, the house is standing, okay, there's not water staining all over the sheetrock. I can open the crawl space, there's not water dripping out and running out of the crawl space. I mean, so you can do these things to help say, hey, look, buyer, if something comes back on here and you've got $5,000 or $6,000, $7,000 in due diligence money, the seller likely can say, no, we're not fixing anything. So you need to be comfortable either walking away from that money, that $5,000 or $6,000 if you're going to terminate, or buying the property as is. So you have to really set that expectation before you even go under contract. Because if the buyer thinks, oh, we're going to submit a repair request and the seller's going to fix everything, he has to, right? I've had people like, he has to fix all that stuff, right? Like, no, he didn't have to fix anything. Okay, so that's something we need to do. And at the same time, as a seller, right now, you're in the driver's seat and you want to set the expectation, but I like giving them the olive branch, like, hey guys, you know, these are young kids, you know, they're buying this house, they've got a baby, whatever it is, you know, let's take care of these electrical issues because they're safety issues. And that would just really make them feel better. Okay. And well, I know, but I've got $7,500 of this money. I don't have to do anything. You know, that's what they're gonna say. Like, okay, well, you know, why don't we? And most of the time, people are like, you know what? Yeah, let's do that. It'll cost $300 or whatever it is. And that's why you need the relationship with your electricians, your plumbers, everybody else, because you send them the report. What Katie does is she marks up the report, you know, for the electrician, for the plumber, for the roofer, whoever, sends it to them, and they look at the report and give a quote sight unseen for what they see. Okay, so if it's like GFCI, you know, not tripping, whatever your common stuff they see. If it's something more detailed, obviously like mold or major water issues, then you got to get somebody out there to look at it to get a quote. Okay.
Is it, like from the seller's point of view, is there a concern, like if they're like, well, we're going to do repairs, we got the due diligence, but like if there was a major issue that wasn't something that should have been an obvious material fact, but like it could be electrical issues on that. Is that a liability concern?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not an attorney, obviously, but what I'll tell you is this. I have had pretty savvy buyers in the past. Like, I'll be on the listing side and they get a letter written from an attorney, or they threaten a letter from an attorney.
Yeah.
And they say, well, seller per blah, 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 the contract did not display it, da, 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 whatever it is. And they send that to us. And in this market, what I would recommend is like, look, you know,
You got two options.
Look, give them their money back. Tell them you're gonna have their money back. See if they'll be happy with that. But then you gotta get them to sign something, you know, saying that they're released from, you know, sellers released from liability, all sorts of stuff. But yes, if that's something I would call my attorney about immediately. Sometimes that people get like that, they know what they're doing. Yeah. I mean, they're smart. They're like, you know, we're not walking away from the $7,500. It's pretty rare though that happens.
Yeah, what about if it's something that's, like, it was a potential safety issue, and then after, like, a year later, they say, like, oh, I want to sue you because you didn't fix this electrical. I mean, I know that it might not have a great case, but
Something could happen, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, that would be an attorney question for sure, but I mean, yeah, those things can pop up if they requested it. But if they requested it and we said no, then they knew about it, but in anything that's on the home inspection report or relating to that, I mean, that would probably more fall back on the home inspector.
Right.
Yeah, but so many buyers right now aren't even getting home inspections. You know why? Because they know that the seller's not going to fix anything.
Yeah.
So they're like, I'm not going to waste $500, $600 because the seller's not going to fix anything. That's pretty stupid. Okay, because you do want to know what's wrong.
Right.
You want
But
to know what's wrong.
that is too why you have that professional services closure showing you recommended it and they waived it. That way too, it doesn't end up falling on you.
Yeah. So that's good, really good question. But anything like that, I do have buyers sometimes that the agent will send, oh, you didn't disclose this, or you didn't, like they'll send it to us. We'll see how threatening it is, see if there's anything to it. And then we'll go to the seller, like, look, this person's going to be a pain in the ass. Let's give them their money back and let's sell it to somebody else next week. And we'll change it. We'll either get the item fixed that they said was wrong, okay, before we put it back on the market, or we'll just disclose what it is. So that happens. Does that make sense what I'm talking about? Okay.
Any questions on Zoom right now? Good.
Good.
I mean, I've got one that goes back to previous, but that can wait till after we're done or whatever.
No, go ahead.
Okay. It's more like a conversation of potential, like somebody potentially listing. Like, how would you go about addressing their fears of, well, there's not inventory out there, so where am I going to go if they're staying local?
Yeah, I mean, that's the toughest thing. I mean, that's pretty much, that's a great question. I think I can't answer, I don't know. I can't really answer that.
Is that good, Kyle?
I'd like to say, I'd like to be able to figure it out. But I think all you can do is, if you do get asked that question, like, hey, we'd like to sell our house because we can sell it for 12% more this year than we could have last year, or whatever it is. Okay, those are the kind of conversations we need to be having with people, so they really understand, the amount of equity they may have now versus 12 to 24 months ago. Those are really important conversations to have, because I mean, people see dollar signs, right? They do. Oh, I can buy a new house, I can buy a new car, I can do all this, they see these things. But the reality is, like Kyle was saying, if they sell their house for $250 and they're buying a $350,000 house, is the house that they're buying for $350 going to be significantly nicer than the house that they're selling for $250? And so that's the issue. And that's where things like interest rates come into play. Like, okay, interest rates are the best they've been pretty much ever. That makes affordability. So if that buyer has any, or seller that is going to become a buyer, has any inkling of, I'm going to buy sometime in the next 3 to 4 years. Interest rates are lower now. I don't have a crystal ball, but then they're going to be, in my opinion, in 3 or 4 years. I just don't see how we keep printing money and doing everything we're doing as a country if somehow the banks are going to have to get some money back at some point, or they're just going to stop lending money.
Will you offer to help them buy also, or do you remain just a listing?
Oh, no, we do. Yeah, we do both buy sides, depending on who the client is. Like, if they want to work with me, then I'll work with them. If not, we have a buyer agent and we'll represent them in the process.
But I would say, going back to kind of Kyle's question, is trying to ease their fear of not being able to purchase is one. I would still recommend that they meet with a lender to make sure they're pre-qualified to buy a 350 house. They, like, hypothetically using the 250, 350. That way too, and give them the expectations. Look, your price range home based on MLS will sell in 24 hours.
Well,
I'm just saying hypothetically. this is what the statistics are showing, that it will most likely go under contract within this time frame quickly. Knowing that, you would probably have roughly a 45 to 60 day close, roughly estimate. And then from there, you know, say, okay, so would you be ready? Like, are you prepared to now buy your next house? You know, so do you have your pre-qual letter? Like, are you ready with your lender? To where once we know this hits the market and we've signed a contract, we need to immediately get out there and try and find you the next house. That being said, if we can't find your next house, would you be willing to do temporary living in an apartment?
A lot of people will.
Some will, yeah.
I think that's a really good script. If you could invent a script, or not invent, but like work on one. And I'm not a big script guy, obviously, okay, but I should be.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it would really help.
Your scripts are involved.
Yeah, but I think if we could say, okay, look, you know, you got $250,000 house right now, $300,000 house, whatever it is. And now's the best time of years to sell. Can we go ahead and sell right now? You got to figure out where to live for 18 months. Okay, the market's going to come down some in 18 months. Now, interest rates might be a little bit higher. Okay, but is that something you want to do? At least it gets you the listing. Okay, and at least they capitalize on getting their money out of that listing. Now they might have to go rent for 12 to 18 months. But during that 12 to 18 months, if you're actively looking for something, then even if you have to sign a lease for 12 months, if you have to pay to get out of the lease, I mean, generally speaking, with the market the way it is, the listing market the way it is, it would be worth it to do that. So we would have to come up with a script that would help us talk people into doing that. Which, I mean, we've done that before with sellers. Sell now, because the market, we know what the market is now, it's hot as hell. Sell it now, rent for a little bit, okay, saying, then buy, then you have time. Because right now, if you're forced to buy a home in the next 45, 60 days, you're probably not going to be happy, right? In this market, you're going to settle for something, and nobody wants to settle. So, anything else?
Yeah, question. What's the likelihood of someone that happens to ask him, you know, go ahead and sell it and ask him, the seller, to turn around and bring it back for a couple of months?
Yeah, that's what we're doing on one right now.
Personally,
yeah, we're buying. We actually live like out in the middle of nowhere in Franklin County on a farm, a big farm. But we're buying a house in Raleigh right now, North Raleigh, and we're closing on it April 29th because the interest rates are so great, and we're locked in. Okay, and then we're renting it back to them till like July 15th. Okay, so yeah, I mean those are things to do
too, because they're actually moving out of country. So for them, it worked better, and it worked fine for us because we're not having to sell our current home. So it worked fine for us to be able to offer that to them.
But most buyers, that's a really good script to come up with also, right? Or an idea, like you just like bullet points, like, hey, how's this deal gonna work? So list the house, because you want to the seller wants to take care or take advantage of the amount of equity they have in their house at the height of the market. The market may continue to go up, but we don't know that. Okay, we're kind of at the height, I feel like. It may continue to get much crazier. But so it's at the height of the market, they get to sell. They're also in the driver's seat. Buyer is willing to take that risk because interest rates are so low. So they'll take that risk. Hey, we'll buy this and we'll rent it back to them for 3 months, 4 months, and we'll keep staying in our apartment. So I think those things, that's what we need to be thinking about, is different ways, not just your normal transaction. And educating sellers that, hey, we can help you through this process. Like, this is how we've done it before, and once they're comfortable with that, and that's the whole Mark Spain thing, right? And all this stuff. It's like, it's just the ease of doing it, right? You don't have to show your home. Yeah, it's going to cost you like 12 to 15%, and you're going to end up having to repair all this stuff. But it's people are lazy. So the easiest way we can do, so that's easy. We can sell our house and stay here for the next 4 months for rent free, possibly. So anyway, anything else? Good. All right,
Okay,
what
well,
else do you have?
clear
Dave?
to close, post closing, but I'm gonna send you guys my checklist that will go into great detail with that stuff. Cause like, I'm definitely a checklist person, so I can sit here and just kind of bullet point and then keep bullet pointing down for you guys. So I will send you a checklist that we also have for listing to under contract. That way you can kind of see, okay, this is how, we kind of handle everything. There's a lot.
Did you have something, Jennifer?
Just to say that she's an amazing checklist person.
Oh, yeah, she is, believe me, I know. And I'm the exact opposite, so I don't even know what a checklist looks like.
Well, I love the mindset of the rent free, and you mean I can stay here for another 4 months, and I'm gonna run with that. So thank you for that.
Yeah, and it may be something, guys, that, we haven't done it, we need to, but you can mail letters that create that scenario, or don't mail them. I think mailing is good too. It depends how you want to do it. But knock it on the front door or hand it to them. Most people are going to answer the door, stick it in the front door, whatever you want to do.
I would say if you mail letters though, handwrite the address. Do not pre-print addresses.
Yeah, so then it gets like a birthday.
Yeah, so because if you get mail, when it's pre-printed, half the time I just toss. But if it's handwritten and I can actually tell it's handwritten, I'm like, and I'll open it up. But yeah, no, we're really good. I'm really big on handwriting.
So something else, like who in here is actively working with a buyer in a lower price range right now? Okay, good. So right now it's tough. So if have you written the offers yet for this person? Okay, you've written multiple offers, probably lost multiple deals. Okay, so what you need to do in those neighborhoods, and you may have already done this, that you've lost those deals, is literally go to the 20 houses around them, if your buyer has interest in those, and write a letter and say, hey, look, my buyer really loves your neighborhood. We made a full price offer on the house across the street, but we lost it because it was a cash deal on the other side. Put some detail. As long as your buyer gives you permission to do that. Okay, put some detail in that. You'd be surprised. People are like, you don't ever know people's situations. There might be a divorce, there might be a death, somebody might be sick, there might be, and you got 20 different lives you're messing with, right? I'd be really surprised if someone out of those 15 or 20 is not going to sell in the next 1 to 2 years. And if you throw the thing out there that, hey, we'll buy it now, and we'll rent back to you for the next 3 to 4 months. And be careful, I'll say this, be careful about, I'm not telling you to do things shady, but when you say that though, you gotta be careful what you say to lenders. If you rent something back for 3 or 4 months, sometimes lenders will have a problem with that.
Lenders only like 30 days.
So you have to be really careful. But we just don't want to get a buyer in trouble, right? Where the lender comes back and says, oh my gosh, well, we didn't know you were going to rent the house for the next 6 months. Yeah, that could be a problem because it's their primary residence, not a rental property. Because they're not putting 25% down or 20% down, they're putting 5% down or whatever it is. So you have to be really careful about those things.
We do use though the letter, so for instance, the letters Morgan's talking about is sometimes if it's a sought after neighborhood that we have a buyer that's like dead on, this is the neighborhood I am going to buy a house in. So whenever anything comes up, we do have letters that we will send. Usually we search MLS to make sure they haven't sold in the last year or two. Usually the people that just bought in the last year or two are not going to want to sell, usually. But we kind of go back and say, okay, anybody that hasn't sold in the last like 2+ years, and we'll send letters to those people in that neighborhood just to try to say, hey, look, we have a ready and willing buyer who's very eager to be in this neighborhood, give a few, personal details that your buyer agrees to let you give. And we usually send the letters out. It's harder to get the phone numbers and email addresses of those people. It's really easy to get, addresses, obviously. So we typically go with that route in hopes that they will call us back. And then sometimes too, if there's like a particular house that he's like, look, you could get this person, that's when then we'll search more on that house and try to see if we can come up with a phone number and stuff like that. But we we don't try to sit there and just bombard these people because technically, no, they're not selling their house right now.
But it's okay. I mean, I think
It's okay,
that's,
yeah.
but the other thing you're doing that's different is you're doing other things that other agents don't do,
Yeah.
right? So when you
Basically,
do
reverse
that,
prospecting. You're reverse prospecting to get.
they're gonna go, wow, this agent is so motivated, they sent me 3 letters in the past 2 months and they knocked on my door twice because you're trying to find something for your buyer in that
Yeah.
neighborhood. Well, who would I want to represent me as the listing agent? They obviously want to represent you because you're working harder.
Or
than
even
me.
as a new buyer agent.
Or,
They're
yeah,
like, gosh,
because
they
you're working
pulled it out
harder
of the
than
way.
any other agent I've seen.
Mhm.
And that's why open houses and stuff are still can be a good idea. Because when you do an open house, open house is typically a low gain activity in my opinion, but you can make it a high gain activity. So if you put your balloons up on time, put your signs up on time, do all this stuff, old school marketing, right? But get there ahead of time and knock on all the doors and invite all the neighbors to come over to your open house. Do that. So if you're doing an open house from 2 to 4 on Saturday, you want to do that in like noon. You want to do that earlier in the day. Okay, where they're invited to come over.
You guys went to the same day?
I mean, I think you could do it. I think you should do it the same day.
Depends on your sign ordinance too, with whatever neighborhood.
Some signs, yeah, or
Yeah.
some neighbors are fine, but I would say the same day is probably fine. It's probably fine. It used to be all open houses were like 2 to 5 on Sunday, but now I think it's starting to go to more like 2 to 4 on Saturday.
1 to
I'm seeing
3.
I'm seeing a lot more of. But that can turn an open house into, with COVID, it's like, oh, I don't want people in my house that have COVID and this and that. Well, some sellers are not going to let you do that, obviously. Okay. But some people don't care. All right. They're going to let people in their house if they want to sell. But right now, that's a good way to get buyers. If you're the listing agent, and why buyers, and I hope you guys on Zoom you understand this, like why buyers, like I know a lot of people are scared of dual agency, they don't want to be in dual agency. Okay. I think it's
And provisional brokers
and
can't.
provisional brokers can't do it. Okay, but if I was a buyer, I'd be calling the listing agents, right? Because of like, if you're working with a buyer agent and you've already signed something, then obviously you can't do that as a buyer. But why would you not call the listing agent if you wanted to buy a house, right? Money, I'm just being honest, money motivates people, right, to do things. Do you understand what I'm saying? So if a buyer says, I'm going to call this listing agent because I don't want to have him to split the commission. You have people do that all the time. Okay, I'm not saying it's the right thing to do, but they do it all the time. Or maybe they don't do it enough in a competitive market. Maybe the buyers should be doing that more. Okay, so anyway.
You're saying, why would you not want as a buyer to call the listing agent? I would think you wouldn't want that because they can't represent you as fully as your buyer agent can.
Yeah, I know, but in a tough market, I'm trying to be real here. Yeah, like in a tough market, like obviously money motivates people, right? And so if I can even potentially cut my commission as a listing agent to help a buyer, I probably need to be careful about what I'm saying on some of this stuff.
Pause recording.
But there's just, it makes sense. Like if I'm a buyer, I'm going to the listing agent. If I'm in a competitive market, if I'm a buyer, I'm going directly to the listing agent.
Well, and that's
I like to
basically
figure out why.
if you're a savvy buyer.
Yeah, I'm going directly to the listing agent.
I gotta connect it up.
Yeah, you got, because it's about money. The agent's going to make a lot more money if he writes one deal.
If he's able to lower it, but that's for the seller who's paying the commission anyway. As the buyer, like, why do you care if?
Because you want the deal, you want to get the house.
Okay.
So you want the best chance possible to win in a tough market. So if I'm in a tough market as a buyer, I'm calling the listing agent. If I'm educated enough that I'm like not gonna get myself in trouble with something wrong with the house, I guess. So anyway, off topic a little bit. Sorry. What else, Katie?
I guess any questions between anything that has to do with a listing, between listing it, under contract with it, closing it. Any questions you guys have?
I think we've taken enough time.
Oh, we have. That's what I'm saying. If they have any
if
questions,
you guys don't
then-
have any questions, because like 2 hours is too long for a class. Man, we've been an hour and a half and like I'm pretty hungry. I don't know what you guys. So, but if you do have questions, let us know. Get real quick. Anybody else
Any
have
on
questions?
Zoom have questions about anything?
All right, thanks, guys.
I'm gonna send you guys, our marketing packet, MLS sheet are talking about, our listing checklist, our listing under contract checklist. But don't expect it this afternoon, because I have a lot of catch up to do, so I was out of town.
All right, thank you, guys. Nice to meet you
Thank
all.
you. You guys good? Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.